welcome back. Today we got a fun one. We're going to put a crust cargo fork on Nick's e-bike and also try to fix it up a bit. It's going to start off with Nick and then I'll be in a bit after. Hope you like it. Cheers.
Alright ladies and gentlemen, here she is in all her glory.
This is a Viron e-bike, 20-inch wheels.
I'm gonna strip her down. Ready for Gary and the fork.
Here's Nick just cleaning up his bike for me, which is pretty sick.
That's good.
Yeah, it's kind of like brushing your teeth before you go to the dentist. But yeah, taking away his kid stuff off. And he actually built this cool carrier on the back with kind of PVC pipes.
You're like 1 gauge higher of the PVC pipe clips and then just pack it out with offcuts of tire.
The rain shield, I think he got off a dog carrier thing.
I don't know if it'll go back on. I'd like to get a copper basket, but it's like a dog pet thing. Basically just has lollies and a spare tube in it. Alright, the rest needs tools. Here's all the stuff. Got a leash and the balls. Rain cover will not be going back on. It's springtime here. That will definitely be going back on. Clips, the speaker, and a bear for each kid. The helmets won't go in because we use them for other bikes and boards too. The real hog. The hog, and you can see it's dirty. Like super dirty. And this is an old board. And I dropped it and it fucking broke. I lost another bit of hardware actually. We'll take this and this off too. These are my 3 Allen key sets I could find. Oh. Oh, that's where it broke. Take this one off too. That's what it comes stock with, but the bag comes out too wide. Probably won't be using this again. I'll keep it for reference. Plastic things, seat.
So yeah, you're probably wondering how this project came to be, and basically, yes, all Nick's idea. He hit me up and explained it, and I was a bit hesitant at first because I'm just kind of like that. But I decided to do it because if you say no to everything, you end up doing nothing. And I think it'd be a fun experience, and it would be a fun video to make as well. So yeah, we're doing it. And shout out to Heaps Good Garage for providing the fork. If you live on this side of the world, they sell a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, check them out.
Boom! There she is, ladies. Ooh, how convenient. All the extra shit, this won't go back on. Summer, the rest of that stuff will. Looks good. Ergo gel goes nice with it. Alright, that's about as good as it gets. Over to Gary. I'll get the parts. Whichever rotor Gary likes can go on the front. Axle adapter. It looks higher. It looks higher. Axle to cram. I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know. Shout out to Gary. Woo! Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful day in Melbourne City. I've just come down the glorious upfield bike path, headed through Prince's Park on the way to Gazza's. And they look like just another commuting fancy inner north dad, his electric cargo bike. But I am not. In tow from Heaps Good Garage, I have the crust cargo fork, which we'll be putting on the front of the hog. Matt and Gary have both assured me that the geometry will be shit and it'll make it even harder to ride this fucking bike, which is already pretty bad geometry. I've got me grossly modified skatey to get home as well, mixed with public transport. It says something probably. of equipment and taken them too far, because that board is fucked. But it works for its niche purpose, and perhaps this mutant cargo bike will also do the same, causing disgust in the viewer from a distance, some kind of evil abomination to the onlooker, and yet so highly tailored to its purpose. It's superior to all other non-mutant creatures. Only time will tell. Only Gaz's expertise will provide the answers. I don't fucking know. I'm riding a Garys with the cargo fork. Woo!
Yo! Here it is.
Woo! Sorry.
No, it's good. Pumped. Oh, it's sick. You got the board on there.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad.
Freak mods all over the place.
Oh yeah. You just cut it out of an old board or something?
Yeah, I cut it off the board. I hurt myself on.
Oh no. So yeah, Nick dropped off his bike, and also I let him try some of my bikes, and it seems like he was hyped on the Stinky. I also stepped on his board with the soft wheels, and it rolled really well. I was quite surprised. It's pretty sick. And here's Nick having a little rip. Yeah.
I'm gonna get you like kicked out of your apartment.
Nah, you're good. Oh shit. Oh shit. Yeah. You alright? Yeah. Yo, that was nice. Yeah, after that it was I think we were both super hyped, but it was sick to see him skate in real life. And yeah, he sent me this little clip. Yeah, the setup is super sick. Kind of makes me want to build one. Alright, so yeah, Nick just dropped off his bike, and this is his Veron electric bike. What we're going to do is chuck this fork on there, and hopefully there won't be any issues. We looked up the hub already. It's currently a 15, I think, and we've got to change it to 9mm quick release to fit on this. And we got that part already, so that's good. The forks, I double checked to make sure it's 1/1/8. We just looked up the specs off the old forks, and that should be good. And that's really it. The only other thing that I'm concerned about is maybe this flat mount. There's a flat mount adapter. I think his rotors are 160. He also gave me another rotor to put on because this one's bent, so we'll do that too. But we need to find a little adapter to go on this international standard mount. I think I have one lying around. And that's basically it for the bike. I think he said this wasn't working. Can try to fix that. His brakes are kind of, you can see how they are. They probably need a bit of work, so I can see I can tune those up a little bit. But yeah, that's basically it. This is his rig. Should be pretty fun once we chuck the crust fork on. And yeah, let's take a look at his what he rides. So he's got these SE grips. Probably got a no-name type of bell. Sounds pretty loud though. Quad lock mount. Some type of display. I have this throttle on mine too, so it's pretty good. Just generic stem. Got the Heap Scoot Garage stick on. Shout out Heap Scoot Garage. Battery pack. Cable lock. Power cranks, looks like. Heap Scoot Garage again. Redrive. It's running Altus. I'm pretty sure it's Altus 7 speed. And yeah, running this Ergo Gel Royal Plus seat. Seems pretty comfy. And that's basically it. I think it's also got folding pedals. They look like they're folding pedals, but they seem like they got a bit of play in them. And yeah, I guess we'll just get straight into it and see how we go. He also had a dancer sticker and a sling ting sticker on there as well, for the peeps that are interested. So with the fork, this is the 1 1/8 steerer version, and yeah, I've installed one in the past on another build, the 1-inch version, but I'm hoping it's easier the second time around. It shouldn't be too difficult, I'm thinking. First thing we've got to do is just take this wheel off. You can see how it's not turning at all, even with like 2 hands, and I was kind of nervous at this point. I was like, oh, I can't even get the axle off, what's going on? And when I kept turning it, there was just tons of pressure and it kept spinning on the other side for some reason. But eventually I put enough pressure on and it came off, which was lucky. Usually you can tell how a build's going to go by the first thing you take off, and if the first thing is tough, usually the rest of the bike is tough. So yeah, hopefully that's not the case. So I was able to get it off, but yeah, it was pretty crazy because this bit here, the whole thing was like rotating for some reason, and it eventually like cracked open, but lucky we could get that off. And now I'm going to put the axle that we got, the adapter axle, to make sure it fits first. So this is the axle that we got. It should be 15 to 9, and then it's 100 millimeters wide. Should slot right in that hole. So yeah, for anyone trying to do the same conversion where it's just going from 15 mil through axle to 9 mil quick release, and you just got to measure the width to make sure it's the right width. So this is 100 millimeters wide. Alright, sweet, it went in. A lot of this stuff, Nick and I were sorting it out through text. So he ordered the axle and stuff, and yeah, you never know how it's going to go until it's in your hands. But yeah, luckily it fit in and it worked. So pretty hyped on that. Sometimes you never know how it's going to go. And I feel like the wheel was like a major part of it. So happy that that's sorted. So yeah, just taking off the old brake here. You can see there's a little brake spacer for it. It ended up being 180 rotors, so I have to look for a 180 adapter. But here, just taking off the fender. Gonna try to see if this fits on the cargo fork, see if there's enough room to put it on. But yeah, to take it off, you could see I need to use a little wrench with the Allen key to get in there. But that came off pretty easy. And then taking off the little brake housing guide here. Make sure you put it back on so you don't lose it. Alright, now that I've separated everything from the fork, I can take out the fork. You just undo the top cap and then the stem bolts, and I'm going to keep the handlebars and stem and everything else together so I don't have to put everything back on. And then just pop it off and just lay that on the ground and then slide out the fork. And yeah, you can see it actually came out pretty easily. Alright, so that's out. And I'm also quite surprised that it's not seal bearings, it's just ball bearings. And it's funny because like this crown race is also a bit bigger, so I'm gonna have to use that anyway. You can't just put a normal one in, which is kind of strange. There is a bit of wear in here, but not much you can do without getting a new headset. Yeah, so I'm gonna give this a little bit of cleanup and then tap that out, that crown race off, and then chuck that on. Hopefully it's alright. So yeah, this is a zero stack headset where the bearing sits inside a cup inside the frame. But yeah, I think the top one looks like it's more sealed, but the bottom one is definitely exposed. So just gave it a little bit of quick clean and then time to tap it out. Usually after a bit of tapping you see it move. So yeah, I tried for a while, like a long while, tried to tap it out from both sides, and I tried using a razor blade as well, putting in there, try to get it in there. You can see what it did to my blade, and it just wouldn't move. Alright, so this is almost seeming impossible to get off at the moment. I'm gonna just try one more thing, just use a screwdriver and try to force it out. But I did tap pretty hard on this and it wasn't moving at all, so I'll see if I can get it out screwdriver. If not, then I gotta work out a workaround. But yeah, no such luck at all. Alright, so I found another crown race and it fits the bearing, so this could work. So what happens is the hole is too small. The issue is it has these notches on the side right there that stop the wheel from turning like more than 360. But you can see it kind of blocks exactly where it needs to go. Only just though. That side right there, and then on this side here. But it's not super far off, maybe just like a mil or so. So I'm going to try sanding this down on the edges and maybe that might work. So yeah, I tried to sand it down for a bit and it would have taken like a bit of work to get it right and to get it accurate. So I decided to look around again. Alright, so I found this, which fits in straight away, just like that. So yeah, no issues. Seems like it turns pretty well too. So get it on the fork and hopefully it works, fingers crossed. So yeah, this crown race is for sealed bearings, so it's not for, doesn't have a track on it, but it seems to work still pretty well, pretty decent when I put pressure on it, because the flat side of the bearing sits on the flat side of the race. And I know, like, you know, there's people kind of commenting right now, getting ready to type right now to leave me a comment. But yeah, my whole deal is just to get it going for now, and we could always replace the whole headset later. I'm pretty sure Nick doesn't want to spend money on a headset right now, so it's good just to get it going to see if he likes the fork first, and then that's always an option for the future. And all in all, it does feel pretty solid. So yeah, we'll see how it goes once I put everything back together. Alright, I think it actually works. It ended up being pretty solid. I just got the lighting. I just gotta clean up the grease a bit. But it turns, feels pretty solid. And I think it's gonna work. So yeah, I gotta tap a star nut in and then cut the steerer. Just check with Nick how short he wants it cut. But I think we're rocking. Yeah, honestly, after tapping for that on that crown race for so long, I was kind of hyped to get the fork in now, and now it can be kind of like a working bike. All right, here it is. Even though I didn't put in the higher crown off that, it's just a smaller crown, so the forks actually sat up more. You can see that the stand is now too short. Like, you can still use it, but it has a bit of a lean going on. I might be able to fix it somehow, but yeah, at least the fork's on, which is pretty sick. Hard to see because kind of small balcony, but it kind of looks like that. And yeah, I just got to cut the steerer, install the star nut, and I feel like maybe that's one of the hardest parts done, hopefully. Still got to put the brakes on and stuff, but yeah, looking all right. Here it is. With the fork on, I thought it looked like pretty sick. It gave me like super chopper vibes, kind of like real DIY, and with the front end super high and the fork a little bit more slack. Yeah, it looked pretty sick, I think, and couldn't wait to ride it. I think it will be pretty fun once I fix everything up. Yeah, it's real funny because sometimes when I don't know about other builders, but just when building bikes, sometimes with bikes for me, like, it's almost like the bike takes on its own vibe and own personality, and it almost tells you kind of how to build it or the way it wants to go. And yeah, as a builder, I kind of just go with it, and whatever it turns out like, you just let it turn out like. And this is one of those bikes. But yeah, I had to take everything apart again just to cut the steerer. Here I'm using the Nipex tube cutter. I think normally they don't recommend it for cutting steerers, but I thought I'd give it a shot. Some people say if you use a tube cutter for steerers, it could splay out the cut. But then I think other people say if you go real slow and don't tighten it too much too quickly, then it should be alright. So that's kind of what I did. It wasn't bad, but you got to clean it up afterwards with the file and whatever. But yeah, I think it's easier to cut it, and then you got to do more cleanup afterwards, where a hacksaw, you probably got to put more effort in at the beginning and then less cleanup after. So it's whatever you pick. And then just tapping the star nut in. It doesn't come with the star nut, so just remember that. Alright, I felt like I probably went the most roundabout way to install this, but it's done. I'm going to give it a quick clean just to make sure there's no metal shavings, re-grease it up, and then chuck it on. Yeah, it took me a little while because I had all the bolts and stuff in the opposite way, and I ended up having to unscrew it from inside the steerer tube. But anyway, it's on now. And then here, now I get to chuck the fork on finally. You can see I'm also pulling the cables towards me, because when I was testing it, I think the cables sit better on this side, so I had to remember that as I was putting it in. But yeah, it made it a little bit funny because I had to hold the bars as I was putting the fork in. But yeah, fork's in, the wheel's on. I just used an old quick release skewer I had and chucked that in, just a normal front one. And then put the little spacer in, put the little cap back on, spacer cap, and then the stem and top cap back on. I had to put a little spacer in there just to space it out. And you can see it's a little bit blurry too. Alright, there we go. It's on. Feels pretty solid. Maybe slightly little tight, but I think once you get riding a bit, it'll loosen that tiny little bit. Sure. Alright, we're gonna try to get this brake on now. I ended up finding an adapter, a 180 front, so hopefully that should work. And then this is he said the old rotor was bent, so I'm going to take that off and then put one of these ones on. He gave me two, so we'll just see which is the best one and go from there. When I'm looking at these, I'm basically looking first to see which one is less warped or has less bends in it, and then after that I'm looking for the thicker one. So yeah, just take a quick look. Alright, seems like this XM Fox one is a bit thicker, so we'll chuck this on and I'll just give it a bit of a clean. I don't know if that's rust or whatever, but I'm going to spray it with brake cleaner just to get rid of the oils. Yeah, I feel like with old rotors you always kind of have to do this because you don't know where they've been sitting or like the condition of them, unless they're like in a plastic bag. But yeah, using a bit of brake cleaner will get rid of all the oils, and I end up giving it a little bit of a sand as well just to even it all out, get rid of all the kind of imperfections, and then another spray with brake cleaner. But yeah, you can see here it's looking pretty sweet. Hopefully it works. So yeah, here taking the wheel off again, and I don't know if I mentioned this before in the video, but the e-bike is actually quite heavy, or heavier than I expected. And yeah, it made like working on it a little bit more difficult, which I didn't really expect with my other bikes before. But yeah, I guess like a lot of people aren't working on bikes on the balcony, but if you do, you got to really make use of that stand, of the bike stand, because that will help prop it up. I think I basically had the stand flipped out the whole time. You can see I also put a little bit of wood under it as well. Here, just installing the brake adapter, and you can see it just goes like that. I end up finding some bolts that seem like they're the right length, so chuck those on. Alright, so I just put the bolt in, and you can see it comes out a little bit on the other side. I could just run it like that, but it's probably better to put a washer in. So yeah, end up chucking the washer in. Just really, it's really the little things. Just make sure you do it right. Yeah, I'm working on it, may as well get it right. And then here chucking on the caliper, you can see the caliper fits basically perfect, and I just used the old bolts. They're a little bit longer, but they go all the way through, so that wasn't an issue. I think it was a little hard to go through at the beginning, but you just keep going and it tends to work. And then basically you just have it on there loose, you squeeze the brake to try to center it and then tighten it back up. So I chucked it on and it's still kind of scraping for some reason, so I've got to fix that. And I just propped it up here to make it a little bit easier, hopefully. So at the moment I'm seeing if it's the actual pad that's gripping or if it's hitting on the top here. Seems like it's alright, but I'm going to double check. So yeah, disc brakes I feel like is one of those things that can get a little bit tricky sometimes, depending on how it wants to line up, how old or new your pads are, and yeah, you got to check a lot of things. So I just noticed this on the brake. You can see how there's a gap in between, not the brake pads, but that gap right there. And look, I can just squeeze it and they close. Turns out like these bolts are loose. So I'm going to tighten those up and then see how we go. I also pushed the pistons back. Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting that. And after you fix one thing, you kind of have to go through the process again and see kind of, okay, now that's fixed, what else isn't working. Okay, I ended up taking it off because it just kept scraping, and you can see the reason why it's kind of not working properly is because the piston is all the way on one side. And how to fix that, you just try to put pressure on this side and try to even it out. Yeah, it can be a little bit tricky, but that's how you get it centered so it doesn't like scrape on the sides or anything. So yeah, to kind of center it, you need to use something plastic or leather. I'm using this boot bike rotor tool. But basically what you want to do is put it in the middle and then just try to press down on the lever and have it align in the center of the caliper. And yeah, you do this a few times and hopefully it's centered. If it isn't centered, you might have to push down on one side and then press, but yeah, you'll get there. Alright, that's the best I can get it, I think. You can still hear a tiny bit of scraping, but yeah, we'll have to do for now. I might mess around with it a bit later. I ended up fixing it after I filmed that. Couldn't handle it scraping. And now I've got this little light. I think I might put it here for Nick, since he'll probably have a basket on top, or I'm assuming he would have a basket, I don't know, but he can always move it if he wants to. So let's do that. So I ended up putting it on the left hand side of the bike because the cables were kind of on that side more, so it made it a little bit more natural to have it on that side. And yeah, basically I just took the little top part off and then just screwed it on the inside of the eyelet, and that seemed to work. Alright, here it is. I just put it on the inside. It's just plastic, so hopefully it doesn't come loose, but if Nick's watching this, then yeah, just be careful. And just got the Y out here. I was gonna cut these zip ties, but I figure like if he has a basket, it'll get pushed back anyway, and it should be fine. Maybe he can like put a zip tie here or something, I don't know. But yeah, it's on. And it works pretty well. Just adjust it like that. Sure. So while I got the bike up on this, I'm just going to try to fix these gears on the back. He said they weren't shifting at all, but I feel like I could fix that. So yeah, let's see. Just got it propped up here so the weight's on the front. So yeah, sometimes it gets a bit windy on my balcony, so sorry about that. But yeah, as I'm turning this, it only goes up, but it doesn't come down. So it seems like there's not enough cable tension kind of pulling it back. You can kind of see how loose it is right there. And then I can shift it up basically, but it just won't come down. Alright, so I dropped it down here to the highest gear. You can see that it's not returning, it only goes like halfway. Usually that means there's like not enough cable tension to pull it back. We'll see if I can do something about that. So yeah, basically a lot of kind of like fiddling around, undoing the derailleur cable and putting it back on, trying to get it to work to kind of troubleshoot what it could be. And it turns out that it doesn't slide in and out that well. Alright, so I worked out what the issue is. The issue is basically, I think these cables are old, or the housing is old, and basically it just hasn't been lubed up that well, or it doesn't really slide, so there's a lot of friction in the cable with inside the housing. So what I'm going to do is try to somehow lube it up in there and hopefully gets it going. Yeah, at this point I was hoping that it would hopefully work, because I think to redo the cables I would have to undo everything and it goes inside the frame, and I wasn't unsure about that. So you can see I'm just kind of almost like flossing the cable within the housing, just putting a little bit of synthetic lube in the housing when I do it. Like I'll lay it on the wire and just try to pull it in from both sides. And yeah, it ended up being a little bit smoother, but for some reason it still seemed like it was having trouble. You can see right here. It shifts up pretty nicely, but then yeah, same problem again, still doesn't drop down, unfortunately. I can pull it now and it kind of drops. Alright, so it turns out it's not working still. I can get it to shift up, but I can't get it to shift back down, so gotta crack this bad boy open. So yeah, and I feel like with this I'm kind of in too deep anyway, so I may as well just go for it. I've never taken apart an e-bike really before, so or internal e-bike kit, so I didn't really know how it's going to be. But when I took off this cover, you can see that it doesn't really pop out, and I thought maybe I can just slide that one cable out and put the new one in. Of course, just kind of taking a guess here, but I figured that I'd undo everything first just to make sure I can get that one cable free. And yeah, I was kind of just shaking it around. There's a lot of zip ties to kind of undo, but it ended up kind of moving back and forth, so I figure I would just kind of pull it out and hopefully slide the new one back in. But yeah, here you can see I pulled all of it out, and it was quite a little bit rigid, the old one. And then I end up cutting new tube or new housing in, and basically now I was just trying to slide it back in, and to my surprise it actually just slid all the way through. I was like super hyped on that, because you never know with like internal cabling how it's going to be, but I think because there was that space before with the old cable, I was able to just slide it straight through. If I couldn't slide it straight through, I'd have to kind of take the whole kind of computer apart, or I'd disconnect it. But yeah, luckily it slid all the way through, and I was super hyped on that. So yeah, that was basically the first stage, and now it's time to put the gear cable back in. I did lube it up a little bit, and it's basically hoping for the best, hoping that it solves the issue. But if it doesn't, then I got to put a new gear cable in. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So yeah, it goes up like normal. And then yeah, it drops back down. I was super hyped. It still needs a little bit of like tweaking, of course, so just to adjust the gears a little bit. But yeah, it goes up and down, and I was stoked on that. Alright, I did it. So now I just gotta put everything back on, the case back on, put the little swirly thing on, and that's fixed. I think one thing with working on e-bikes in general is that there's just like tons of cables, and sometimes it's hard to access. But yeah, it got a little bit gnarly there. Yeah, that was pretty funny. It basically had all bike parts in there, and yeah, the bike parts just went everywhere on the floor, and I decided I would just finish off the bike first before I clean it all up. But that was, yeah, that was a little bit of pain. When I put it on the front, all the weight on the front, I was like, oh, I hope that doesn't fall off. But yeah, when you're concentrating on something else, sometimes that happens. But yeah, now just kind of like tidying up all the cables. I end up moving some of the zip ties as well, just to try to clean it up a bit. But yeah, pretty stoked I got the gears going again. And then here, yeah, just finally like cleaning up all the stuff. I didn't film all of it, but yeah, you can see here trying to put away all the tools and everything, and yeah, just trying to clean it up since I'm going to start on a new part on the bike or fix a new section. Here now, I'm basically, what I wanted to do was tighten the headset again, and basically how you do that is you just take off the top cap and loosen the stem, and then tighten the top cap, and then tighten the stem again. I also put a bigger spacer on here just to make sure the fork has enough room to go up when I tighten it. And yeah, you can also turn it kind of like side to side to see how much play it is. It seemed like there was more play forward and backwards versus the side, so it could be that the headset has oversized like a tiny bit. But yeah, either way, this is a bit of a chopper build, so it should be good with that. And then yeah, I just did it fairly tight, and it seemed pretty good. It seemed pretty solid. So yeah, now for the brakes. The brakes were pretty cooked, and yeah, it just needed some liquid, I think. I wasn't going to do a full bleed, but I just want to top it up just to make it a little bit stiffer. And this is how I did it. I basically just put it on the stand with the handlebar, just like that, and then have the lever up and kind of horizontal. Usually you would kind of like tilt the bike up or whatever, but this bike is super heavy and I don't think my stand could handle it. And then you can see basically when I took this one off, this one was better. I just filmed the front brake, but the back brake I did first already. I just missed the footage. But yeah, basically when I opened up the back brake, when I opened that little cap, it was basically, you couldn't see any liquid at all. So I had to kind of like fill it up a bit. And basically you just kind of push down on the lever, fill it up, and then let go of the lever a little bit, and it'll kind of like suck the liquid in. When you push on the lever and kind of tap on the tubes, that's how you kind of get most of the air out. And you kind of just keep repeating that until you see no more bubbles coming out. Kind of squeeze the lever a little bit, and then as you get to the end where it feels tighter, you squeeze the lever less and less, otherwise you're going to push all the kind of liquid out. But yeah, you can see how it is here. Basically you just try to top it up as much as you can until it's almost I do it until it's almost kind of overflowing, just like that, and then you can kind of like put the cap back on. Yeah, sometimes people flick the lever, sometimes people flick the housing or the hydraulic cable just to get all the bubbles out. And then yeah, that was looking pretty good. So chuck the little cap back on, make sure you do it up enough. Sometimes you might need to have a little rag or tissue there just to get all the extra mineral oil. If you're doing other brakes that uses dot fluid, you definitely need to clean it with isopropyl alcohol, otherwise the liquids will deteriorate your lever. But yeah, mineral oil is fine. So yeah, now the brakes are done. They feel way better, I think. And yeah, I'm stoked I was able to fix that for Nick, because it was one of the things that kind of bugged him. And I could see, because basically when you squeeze it, it went all the way to the handle. But you can see the old versus new. So yeah, way stiffer, even just with just with like a lever refill. So much better. Alright, so the only problem left now is the stand is too high. I might be able to put a bit of wood there in between this and the bracket, but it seems like there's a certain way they do it, and it kind of aligns with a strip of metal that kind of locks in the stand. if I put a piece of wood there, it's not going to have that, so it could kind of twist and turn a little bit, so that could be an issue. I do have this stand as well. I'm going to try that, see if it helps. So yeah, I think this is one of the things that I didn't foresee when I was putting on the new fork, but yeah, these things sometimes happen. And it was lucky that I had this other one just in hand just to put it on, because I feel like this e-bike, this heavy e-bike, you really need a stand for it, otherwise it's kind of not functional. So I was lucky I had this, and it ended up being pretty good, really solid, way more solid than I thought it was. I thought the thinner one wouldn't be as solid, but it still worked, yeah, super well. And I could have cut it down a little bit, but I decided to keep it the same height, so you can rock it back and forth in case you need to work on the front wheel or work on the back wheel. I think that really helps as well. So yeah, the stand ends up working, and it clears the pedals as well. And then the only thing now is you kind of have a baggy chain, because there's no chain tension on there anymore. I think unfortunately there's not much you can do about this unless I figure some way out to rig that thing. But yeah, let's see if we can work that out. Alright, it seems like maybe I could fit it under here. You'll see, it's a bit hard to see right now. So yeah, after looking around, there was basically on the bike there was this little hole where I think maybe a bracket goes on or something, but I decided you can actually put a screw in on the other side. I just kind of had to thread it a little bit just for the paint, and then I end up hooking on the chain tensioner like this, which is actually really lucky because otherwise I'd have to build like a different mount for it, and just checking to make sure it goes through all the gears. And yeah, it ended up working pretty well. It does scrape a little bit on the biggest cog, but I think if Nick wants to move it, he could always like space it out just a tiny bit and maybe put a washer or two in there, and that should kind of fix that noise. Alright, so that was the last thing, and yeah, here's the bike. Alright, there she is, pretty stoked. Decided to take it for a ride with a little bit of a weight up front. I basically just put 3 toolboxes in there, so maybe they're like a couple of kilos each, just to weigh up the front to see how it went. But yeah, I just tied it on with some tubes. And yeah, here it is. Honestly, the bike is so fun, just like with the throttle and the kind of low seat position or the high bars, makes it feel really good. Makes it kind of, has that kind of chopper feel. I know I keep saying it, but yeah, it feels pretty good and feels so cruisy. Yeah, it's super sick. I like the rear wheel drive too. I know Nick will probably pedal more than me, but yeah, at the moment I just testing it with the throttle and it feels really good. You can see it actually can do really kind of tight circles as well. I think the only thing you got to worry about is if you go super tight, you just got to worry about the kind of frame like almost like flexing a little bit. But yeah, overall super hyped on it. Yeah, I gotta admit that it handles like way better than I thought it would. I think maybe the slacker head tube angle definitely helped, and then maybe just a longer wheelbase made it feel so cruisy. But yeah, just a super fun bike. And then yeah, those are the toolboxes I got in the front. Nothing too crazy, just like a socket set or whatever. There's the train. And yeah, here's a little back shot. Pretty hyped on it. Here I have show you a little bit comparison with the old and new to see the different geo. So you can see it's raised up a lot more and the wheelbase is a little bit longer. But yeah, now we're gonna get it to Nick. So we decided we're gonna meet at a skate park, and I tested loading a bike on there so I could ride home so he can have the bike. But yeah, I thought it'd be funny just to put like the crust on as well. But yeah, basically just taped up with the tube. I did put a little pad to try to protect the frame a little bit, but yeah, I don't know if it worked that well. But yeah, you can see it works pretty well carrying a bike as well. You just kind of need not to do super sharp radiuses. But yeah, overall, yeah, handles it really well. And yeah, pretty psyched to meet up with Nick and see what he thinks of his bike. So yeah, here it is all loaded up. I put all his old parts on the front and my skateboard on the front as well. And then my stuff in the red crate. So yeah, this is basically the setup. Thought it'd be funny just to put another crust on the bike. And we're gonna meet him at the skate park and hand it over. But yeah, I basically just tied this using just tubes. So you got the setup going there. And then here, I got his old parts in there, just a fork and an old stand, fender. Got the skateboard in the front. I tried putting the skateboard on the side here, but then this box would kind of fall through and rub on the tire, so that wasn't a good deal. But yeah, that's basically it. Pretty keen to see what Nick's gonna think of this. But yeah, should be pretty fun. Here I am just riding to the city. Yeah, obviously I didn't get too many shots just because I had a lot of cargo going on. But yeah, here we made it to skate park, nice and safe. Glad everything held up together. And then yeah, just unpacking everything, getting ready for Nick. And Nick was on his way on the tram already. He brought all the stuff that he needed to put on the cargo bike. And he's coming with his kid as well. So yeah, it seemed like Nick was pretty hyped on it, and yeah, it looks like he had a lot of fun riding it as well.
Yeah.
You gonna hold on?
Seemed like his daughter was also hyped on it, so yeah, that's sick. And Nick's just talking about how he can ride it manual again. probably liking that too. But yeah, overall, yeah, basically just have to talk over it because there's so much music at City Park. But yeah, it seemed like Nick was hyped as. And yeah, we ended up having a little skate. I basically got bodied straight away, so I had to sit down, and yeah, that gave me a good chance to film. yeah, it was super sick to see Nick skate in real life. Pretty amazing. And he also said he hasn't skated in a while, but yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell. And yeah, I checked out some of his boards like a true skate nerd. He's got a new wheel coming out, so here's a little bit of a sneak peek. And yeah, I tested out how soft he runs his bushings or his trucks. But yeah, there's his board. And then here's his kids board, custom made, pretty sick. It has light up wheels as well, pink painted trucks, and the family deck. So yeah, that's basically a wrap. Nick's super stoked on the bike, which makes me super happy. And yeah, Nick was really easy to work with, super nice guy. We got along super well. Super fun experience for me. And yeah, big shout out to Nick for setting everything up. Shout out to Matt from Heaps Good Garage for providing the fork. And yeah, hope you guys liked the video. Let me know what you think. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.